Syria addresses two letters to the UN and Security Council explaining the government's political program. Russian Foreign Minister calls once more for an end to violence in Syria, and Salehi in Iran asserts that the solution could only be Syria. Syrian army units continue operations in several areas. Good afternoon, this is news in English from the Syrian Television in Damascus. Syria addressed two identical letters to the chairman of the UN Security Council and the UN Secretary General about steps to implement the political program proposed by President Assad on the basis of the UN Charter, international law, relevant UN resolutions and the Geneva Communique. The program provides a realistic ground to solve the crisis in the country. The letters said that the Ministry of the Interior called upon all Syrians who left their homeland because of the events to return. The authorities concerned offered all the necessary facilities and called upon all the opposition forces abroad that wish to take part in the national dialogue to come to Syria with whatever documents they carry, pledging to offer them all facilities and to settle their status. The ministry said that the Higher Committee of Salvation was instructed to offer humanitarian assistance in collaboration with the popular and civil societies and the international organizations concerned inside and outside Syria. The Foreign Ministry pointed out that Syria has now become an active workshop to implement the political program on the ground. The letter said that Syria expects the international community and the UN to understand this program and the government's efforts to carry out it without any preconditions in order to restore stability and security and peace in Syria, the Middle East and the world at large. In implementation of the political program to solve the crisis, the Higher Judicial Council decided to stop all legal prosecutions against any opposition political figures or bodies participating in the national dialogue. The Council pointed out that these figures and bodies would be assigned by the government or the ministerial team to take part in the preparatory stage of this political program. And in the same context, the Ministry of National Reconciliation called upon citizens to inform it about any detained, missing or kidnapped individuals whose place is unknown inside or outside Syria, and about any details that would help to identify the destinies of any such Syrian citizens. The Ministry will prepare files and special lists of each status in order to follow up any information and to settle the status of these citizens according to the enforced laws and to help their relatives with every available means. The Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov called for ending violence in Syria. During a joint press conference with his Belgian counterpart, Mr. Lavrov called upon the Syrian government and the opposition to start the dialogue and discuss the formation of a transitory administrative department. Iran renewed its attitude about solving the crisis in Syria by the Syrians themselves. The Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Saleh asserted that the foreign intervention in Syrian affairs would only hinder solving the crisis. He stressed the importance of national dialogue in Syria to solve the crisis. Regarding field developments, a unit of the Syrian Armed Forces restored security to the residential area of Ard al-Khalij in the town of Daraya in Damascus countryside, eliminating terrorists who had been committing over the past few days acts of killings and sabotage against the residents and the vital facilities in the nearby neighborhoods. Also in Damascus countryside, clashes erupted between two terrorist groups following disagreement over the sharing of weapons and money sent to them from abroad. The clashes between the two groups took place inside a hideout in the Yabrud area that they used to store the stolen goods, weapons and ammunition, killing and injuring many of them. Among the killed, there was the leader of an armed terrorist group in the area named Saleh Muhammad Salim, nicknamed as Al-Qudra, and the terrorist Nawras al-Rifai. A unit of the Syrian Arab Army also inflicted heavy casualties among terrorist groups that tried to attack the residents in Khan al-Sheikh and Drusha farms in Damascus countryside. A military source said that a number of terrorists were killed, their weapons, ammunition and vehicles were also destroyed. A unit of our Syrian Arab Army also destroyed a pickup with all the terrorists inside it in the outskirts of al-Lajat area in Dalla countryside. Also in Busr al-Harir in Dalla countryside, military units killed many terrorists and injured others, destroying their hideouts. In Homs, a Syrian army unit attacked a terrorist gathering in the area of Jobar, killing many of them and injuring others. Among the terrorists killed, there were Muhammad al-Bakr, Ghayath al-Rifa'i, Mahir Rislan, Qusay al-Dawi and Hani al-Hussein. A military source said that a unit of our valiant army confronted today morning terrorist groups that tried to attack a military post in Deir ez-Zor and inflicted heavy casualties among them. The source added that all members of the terrorist group were killed or injured, their weapons and vehicles destroyed. In Egypt, clashes renewed between the security forces and anti-Morsi demonstrators in several Egyptian cities. A medical source said that one person was killed and many others wounded in clashes between demonstrators and the security forces in the Tahrir Square in Cairo. Egyptian security forces also fired tear gas at the demonstrators in Qasr al-Nil bridge in Cairo. In Al-Ismailia, 3 people, including a police officer, were injured by gunfire during a clash between Egyptian security forces and demonstrators in front of a police station in the city. The Turkish Joint Staff announced the resignation of Admiral Nusrat Jonaz without giving any further information or details. By this, the Turkish Navy forces have no more admiral commanders. This will create complicated problems in the military structure. The resignation was in protest against the Turkish government's policies aimed at the military institution, as over 400 army officers have so far been arrested on charges of planning coup attempts. Iran's Atomic Energy Organization confirmed that the news about an explosion at the Fordow nuclear facility is untrue and comes within the context of media campaign being waged by the West on Iran before the upcoming negotiations with the 5+1 states regarding Iran's peaceful nuclear file. Iranian officials have criticized these methods used by the West as the negotiations were about to start during January by the European Union request to postpone the date of the upcoming negotiations to be held next month. Leaders of South America and the Caribbean and the EU have concluded their meetings in Chile with the participation of about 40 presidents and officials from both sides. The summit focused on the desire for the establishment of a balanced strategic alliance between Europe that is suffering from economic crisis and the group benefiting from their economic growth. The participating parties in this summit agreed on the Santiago Declaration, which is including a commitment to investments, economic and social aspects. This summit is the first to be held under the leadership of the Group of South America and the Caribbean, which was founded during the Caracas summit during December 2011. More details on Syria and the world on our website www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us after the break, a look into the latest in Syria's economy.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Agricultural Chambers Union confirmed that the remnants of breeding poultry flocks can cover a very large amount of the imported fertilizers, adding that this can cover about 117% of the country's consumption of phosphorus fertilizers. This would change Syria from an importer of fertilizer to a center for exporting organic fertilizers. The technical advisor at the Federation, Abdurrahman Krimfle, noted that the poultry waste has many needed minerals, which led a number of breeders to establish facilities within their farms to make organic fertilizers, turning their sites into integrated poultry farms. Oil traded near the highest level in 4 months in New York after posting the longest run of weekly gains since April 2009 on speculations that the global economic recovery would boost the fuel demand. The Brent for March settlement dropped by 19 cents to $113 per barrel at the London-based ICE Futures Europe exchange. The volume of all futures traded was 16% below the 100-day average. European shares were little changed near a 23-month high as investors awaited the reports on the American durable goods orders and the pending house sales. The U.S. index futures were also little changed, while most Asian shares outside Japan rose after the Chinese industrial profits increased for the 4th month. And the Nikkei index retreated after capping its longest streak for its weekly gains in more than 40 years. Gold remained at 2-week lows and was capped as the improving global macroeconomic environment that curbed interest in safe haven assets. Spot gold steadied around $1,659.90 an ounce today, still below its 200-day moving average. The yen rallied from its weakest level against the US dollar in 2.5 years as traders reduced bets that the Japanese currency would keep falling after its recent slide. The yen also strengthened as the technical indicators signaled recent declines in the currency, which may have been excessive, while the US dollar rose against 15 of its 16 major counterparts before a report that the economists said they will show the US durable goods orders, which climbed in December. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our economic news for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.